Okay, real quick. These are the two largest spaces on this baluster, on this deck, this balustrade. And therefore, we've had some issues here. A lot of times you'll see lower stringer here, or whatever you want to call that, dipping down, bowing up. You see people leave a little stick underneath there to support it. I've always hated that. I've always hated a situation where you've got to see that. I didn't want to divide this again and have three spaces here. So I just rolled the dice. The customer's got little kids, if you can hear one screaming inside right now, but they are already up on here, levering on it back and forth. And the collateral, of everything here being a little bit non-perfect, because again, we're outside. The lumber's changed even since last year. The top segment here has settled out of the groove in some of these cases. Now in these short runs, here it is here. In the short run, it doesn't, I can go up with it, see? I can go up in there, and it sits down in here. And really the most important thing is that this is 4 inches here, no greater, and that's, inside here can't be any greater than 4 inches. You can't take a 4-inch sphere, and you shouldn't be able to push it between anything. That's that infant head entrapment sort of situation. So anyway, most importantly, it's not leaving, and it's just settled out a little bit there. Unfortunately, it did it on these, and then this is so long that it could get pushed back and forth, and the kids were hanging on it, and he wasn't happy with that, so we had to come up with a solution. And he had a really great idea, and so I don't want to diminish it at all, but he wanted to do something like these tie rods that are in the shed door here that I think was the inspiration. We just needed to pull everything up tight to the top so that it wasn't settling down. And he's got this situation where there's a turnbuckle in here, and they control the squareness of this door, and he was thinking they're about the same. They could be painted black, and it would disappear if it was used on the outside to pull everything up. So that's a really good idea. There's hardly much you could do to improve, except we have the benefit of this being steel and welded, and if I can hold it up to there and hold this wood up to it, everything will stack up tightly and will stay in there. So how do I hold that up? I ended up putting in a little stainless steel rope tie with 2 stainless steel screws, and you can't get off the shelf any smaller, like 1/4-inch diameter. The smallest was like 5/16 or 3/8 was maybe. So I wanted it not to be rubbing and scraping the powder coat, so I put a little rubber hose around it. So I got some rubber hose, ID about 1/4, OD about 3/8. I got number 10. I wanted something pretty tough. Number 10, anything shorter than, the 2, like 3 inches, which would be crazy. Stainless steel. And this is marine stainless steel. It is just Everbuilt brand, but it's hard to go wrong. It says on there. And rubber's rubber. And then on the bottom, I got some stainless steel all thread, 1/4 inch. And I got some plastic zip ties. And we have this hole in the center of every one of those to drain water, as well as those corners have a big notch in them to let debris and water fall out of it, so that's not sitting there and rotting. So I went around the steel, through that hole and back, and then around a little piece of stainless steel all thread. Now I'll clip the tail on this zip tie, but you can't see that even from here. You'd have to be practically down there looking at it. Anyway, now everything is nice and square. That's not going to do any sagging, and the kids can hang on the steel because the steel's hanging on the length of those stainless steel screws. That can't be shoved down. Now you or me, we could stand on this wood and rip. I could shove and rip that zip tie off. If somebody wanted to use some black coated copper, like 14 gauge or 12 gauge Romex or wire, just the black, and go around everything and twist it underneath, that would be fine. That's plastic and copper. That would probably hold up against shoving on the wood, so time will tell. Anyway, that was a problem because I needed the clearance under here, there, but I already had a groove. So despite the fact that I had these with me, or you could have Forstner bit or anything, I couldn't start. This isn't deep enough. I could set everything down here. I took the lower thing out. We're processing those two to put a profile on them, make them more interesting than a 2x4. But I can't get started up in there because I can't find a center, and it would just trash that. So I have to start with a hole saw, that I can reach up in there and get a center on and cut through to the bottom of the groove, then snap those off with a little pry tool, like a little bar or anything like that. Just they'll break off. And then I went back and just flattened the surface completely with this, or again, you could use a Forstner bit. And then I have the space to set up this and that with the screws and hold that all up. And that's my little elegant solution for that situation. And obviously that only works with this complete, a copy of this design. If you have a different design, it'll have to be something different. But both of us, he was inspired thinking about it with that and got that far. I thought that was really good. But I just wanted to see if there wasn't something that would be basically invisible. And I'm pretty content with this. And we'll see how it holds up. All right.